wanted to talk about my Powershift book coming out in March 2020. Now, this is my 5th book coming out. If you don't know, the first one was Display of Power. The second one was Brand Within. The third one was The Power of Broke. The fourth one was Ride and Grind. And this one is called Powershift. And first of all, I want to make sure that I thank all my amazing ambassadors that have created a community of their own and as well. And they're out there pushing the Powershift theory. And a lot of them have gotten a couple or maybe one chapter of my book. And I've gotten really great feedback from all of the amazing ambassadors. So first of all, thank you. And you're going to be getting a lot more exclusive content and ways to meet me. And of course, ways to hopefully activate and put Powershift into your life, because the whole purpose of being an ambassador is to enrich your life and then also hopefully pass it on to others. I want to also thank everybody who's already pre-purchased the book. Now that means that you will be getting the first original copies that will come out March 2020. So we're here, and I'm going to take a couple of questions that have already been pre-submitted, and I'm going to read them off right now and hopefully share it with you. And we're not going to be here too long. I know you're at a busy day making money. And the first question is, how do you find your why? That's a good question. And I think that a lot of people out here watching me right now, if you don't know what your why is, then you do need to find your why, because people invest in you, whether it's hire you or be a friend or, have you in their community, in their church or their social clubs or even on social media, because they think that you have found a why you exist, why you want to do things for yourself, why you want to do things for others, and what drives you. That's your why. I didn't really find my why until later on in my career. I didn't find my why until probably when I was about 22 years old. First of all, I loved hip hop when I was 10 years old. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur and make money, and I always wanted to be in control of my own destiny. I also realized that I didn't end up going to college, so I had to work twice as hard as those who went to college, because I had slacked off and I didn't go and get a further education. And my why came around later when I realized that I loved to dress, I loved hip hop, and I finally put those both together, and also then became an entrepreneur at the same time. And I was able to share this theory of dressing for this certain music and this genre of music I like, and to be able to share that with others and dress others, and also empower myself and create my own destiny. And so my why came around when I was about 22 years old, and it really didn't reinforce itself until I was in my early 30s, and FUBU was already doing well, and I started to do other brands, and I consistently stayed with that why. Wanting to dress, wanting to empower other people, and that empowerment of other people changed from dressing them to hopefully educating them on what I had experienced. So my why always was about trying to share with others. As you see me being on my 5th book and being dyslexic, it's really challenging writing books, so I don't write them just to write them. I write them once I see and I gather all the information of things that are most commonly asked of me in regards to success or inspiration that I have not put in prior books. And now that's why Powershift is another one of my whys, trying to give people their upper hand on how to transform any situation, close any deal, and achieve any outcome they want in life. The next question is, do you think goal setting is important, and what are my current goals? Now, I talk about goal setting often, so whoever had this question may either be a new follower or maybe they haven't heard it, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I think goal setting is one of the most important things that you can do in your life. You're goal setting whether you know it or not. Sometimes you're allowing other people to set goals for you. You could be goal setting and making your goal negative goals, goals such as I'll never get a good job, I'll never have a healthy relationship, nobody will love me. If you keep thinking those things on a daily basis, then exactly those things will happen or not happen. But if you are in control of those goals, saying that you're going to be in healthy relationships, you're going to increase your health, or you're going to come closer to God, or you're going to marry that person you want, or you're going to leave that person that may not make you happy, or get that education, or move up in a position, or leave that job and start that company. If you keep doing that and then you apply that with actionable steps, sooner or later those things will happen. So goals are extremely important. People want to know what my current goals are. Well, my current goals They always range from health to faith, to, of course, business, to family. I don't need to get into them personally, but of course you can get one. I just said that it all means increasing and becoming closer to every single one of those things, and maximizing my time on this planet to make sure that I have work-life balance. And that's one of the only goals that will always shift in your life, your work-life balance, because today you may be single and able to run around and party. Tomorrow you may have a job and a family, and you may want to dedicate more time to something else, or you may, the following day after that, you may want to be more into philanthropy and going out there and doing charitable things and helping people even more. So work-life balance is going to be part of your goals that always need to be adjusted. There's no one answer to that. I think I addressed a lot of that in the Rise and Grind book. And if you did not already get the Rise and Grind book, make sure you get that, because that addresses a lot of work-life balance in different areas. The next question is, what steps should I take to connect with successful people in my field? Well, networking is one of the best things you could do, and that you don't always have to connect with successful people in your field. I believe that life is a series of mentors, and networking is the best way to do that. Social networking, of course, is the easiest way to do it, but, we're still, pack animals, and I believe that the one-on-one contact with people that you may meet out in social settings and conferences and things like that are extremely important. Stats are showing that somebody's willing to recommend somebody they've just met 3 times over somebody they already know. I'll give you an example. If you had somebody who was in your family who was a business person in this area, and somebody said, well, I'm looking for a business person to work with in this area, maybe they're an accountant. You have some personal ties to the person here, and you may love them or you may hate them, but they're your family members. And a lot of times you don't want to recommend that person, because in case they screw up, then they screwed up your recent contact with this person. However, if you met somebody at a networking conference and they said they were an accountant, you most likely will pass that card off and say, I don't really know this person that well, but you should check into that person. Maybe that person's of a value. If they screw up, it's no harm, no foul on you. And if they do well, then you know what? Maybe the person will like the fact that you're willing to share other people. And that's exactly what mentors are. And that's how you should meet people in your field and outside your field. Because somebody like me who may not be in your field, maybe you're in the real estate. Trust me, a person like that, a person like me, I already know other people in real estate. So if I felt that you needed an upper hand or an intro, and I do like the way that you operate and I think that you deserve it, then why wouldn't I connect you with somebody else? So don't only look within the box that you are thinking about. The next question is, how are you currently power shifting today? Well, I talked about a little bit in regards to the the shifting of my work-life balance. Also, I'm constantly educating myself. This may sound very, very simple and very small, but I still try to learn different platforms like TikTok. It's been taking me forever to learn it, but it's still on my agenda to learn it. Now, why would you say that's a power shift? Well, a lot of people in my position who has an amazing staff who could take care of social media, or I may say, listen, I'm 50 years old. What the hell am I doing on TikTok at the moment? The reality is I'm studying these new forms of communication, so I at least know the fundamentals of it, because I may blink my eye and my customer who's not necessarily a customer now at 15 years old, I'll turn around, that person will be 25 and they grew up on TikTok. And maybe there's somebody who wants to buy a Bombas socks or a FUBU product or any of the products I have on Shark Tank. And if I don't know where to find these people and how they're communicating because I was too cool to do it, then I will be losing power, because I'm giving that to somebody else. Instead, I'm shifting some of that power to myself by learning the fundamentals of that. And I'm just using TikTok as an example today. There's going to be 10 other platforms in the next 10 years. But if you don't start to find the through line and the way that all the platforms work, then how are you going to add those fundamentals to any of the new platforms out there? So that's just a small way of power shifting, but I can talk about 10 or maybe even 20 other ways. When I wrote this book, and every time I write the book, I'm also the student of when I'm writing the book. I'm also trying to pull value out of those other people that I need to know. And I've noticed that a lot of people don't do that when writing books. They want to play this, hey, I'm on this high pedestal and I don't need to know anything. And that's a lot of times why I like talking to colleges and high school kids, because high school kids ask the toughest questions because they're not afraid to say that they don't know. When I talk to a lot of adults, they don't want to ask any questions, but I've learned the most effective way to have power is to sit in a room, and when you don't know something, ask the damn question. The people who are going to explain it to you actually respect the fact, and you know, people love to hear themselves talk, right? They love to respect the fact that you don't know something and they've shared something else new with you, and it makes you somebody smarter every single day. You need to learn something new every single day. Now, how did I build FUBU's influence for, I'm sorry, I'm trying to read this. The light's a little bright here, and I'm dyslexic. Let me see. How did you build influence for FUBU before the age of social media and online blogs, magazines, and etc.? Now, I am not that old. Magazines did exist for about 100 and something years, so I'm not sure who asked that damn question, but I built it one-on-one on the streets, sitting and talking to people and asking them what did they like about the product. And then I had a consistency of where they can find me. They were usually able to find me at outside concerts and a lot of the black expos, and that's usually something that you need to have in your Powershift consistency, whether it's consistency on your social media, consistency in your message. And then I started talking and building influence. Honestly, I built it with I've told the story before, but I'm going to tell you the story one more time if you didn't know. I had probably about money for about 50 shirts to sell or to give away, whatever the case was. Well, how can I sell the shirt if really nobody knew what the shirt was? I would have to keep convincing the person. So what did I do? I made sure that I lived in Hollis, Queens, and I knew a lot of the rappers and their friends, and I didn't want to give the shirts to the rappers or to the cool kids because they'd wear the shirt once and then they would either give it away, throw it away, whatever the case is, because they were too cool to wear it 2 and 3 and 10 times. But I noticed that the larger guys who were the bodyguards or the guys who were in front of the clubs, they only had simple black or white shirts because they had to go to Rochester big and tall. There were no fashion, products for them. And if they made a custom garment, because they were pretty large guys, it would cost them a lot. So I gave the 50 shirts to the 50 type of bodyguard type of big fellows out there, and they would wear the shirt 5 and 10 times a month instead of that one cool kid who wore it 1 time a month. Where would you see those large guys? They'd always be in the red rope in front of the club. They'd always be in bodyguarding a lot of the celebrities and in front of people, and they would always be these huge billboards. And I started to build influence within the community because the toughest, biggest, most visible people were wearing the product when it was only 50 shirts. And slowly after that, the artist would say to me, well, what the hell am I, chopped liver? Why don't you want to give me anything? And I'd say, you're too cool. You're never going to wear it. And they would say, I promise I'll wear it. Okay, well, there you go. And that's how I nurtured a relationship with them. And that's how I negotiated a relationship with them. And after that, the relationship would last for many, many years, such as today, still dealing with many of my friends from Nas to LL Cool J to Method Man and so many other people that wore my stuff in the early ages. The next question is J Deep S was wondering, what was your biggest failure and what did you learn from it? My biggest failure is probably almost going bankrupt 3 separate times. From number 1, when I didn't have any money. Number 2, when I mortgaged my house to create FUBU, and a lot of people hear that, and that's not a good way to go about doing whatever you're doing. I was stupid the way I did it, but thank God I got out of it by taking an ad in the New York Times for financing. That was my version of Kickstarter back then. And then also after I had made a lot of money, I had lost it very quickly, not knowing how money works. So I escaped being bankrupt 3 separate times, and that's when I started to understand the need for financial intelligence. And I put that into Power Broke because over 65% of 65% of athletes and or people who win the lotto were bankrupt 3 years out of the league or winning the lotto. Why? Because they don't know and they don't have financial intelligence. There's nothing wrong with not having financial intelligence as an athlete. I don't want anybody to look at athletes as they're stupid, but if you really think about them, they've been the best physical specimen that they can be on the planet for 20 years. They may not have had time or somebody even teaching them about that. And if you really look at schools these days, you need to have financial intelligence. There is nothing in it for a school to give you financial intelligence, because at the age of 18, you can go and get loans for $300,000. So why would they teach you financial intelligence so you can then not purchase further educations in this way and have these loans that you're paying off till you're 45 years old? So I don't want anybody here who doesn't have financial intelligence to think that they're stupid. It's just a way that you need to think, and you need to empower yourself so you don't empower others. All right, how have you grown as a negotiator over the years? What's one of your biggest negotiating tips? Communicating like your face is built. You have to listen like you have two ears and speak like you have one mouth. Listen twice as much as you speak. Most of the time when somebody's negotiating with you, they're telling you exactly what they want. But you know when they're telling you? In the last 5 words of whatever they say, because they're building up to get to those 5 words. Often people cut them off. Often people assume what they want, or often people totally neglect what that person is that they are saying. They have a very specific need and something that they want, and a lot of people are not listening to them. Often people don't say, well, what do you want to get out of the situation? Because if the communication is somehow confusing, then just bring it home and ask the person, what is your final need that you would like to get out? And you will be surprised at the way people are. I've seen people lose huge deals on like real estate deals because a little old woman said, you know what? I'm going to sell you the house at X amount of dollars, but I want that refrigerator in the house. And someone will say, hell no, I'm not giving you that refrigerator. But that woman, that refrigerator was a gift from her father and mother when she got married 60 years ago. And that is important to her. And you're going to screw up deals of a whole house because you don't want to give her a refrigerator. That's all it is, because she asked about it in a nasty way. You just have to think about what's in it for the person. And when they're communicating, you got to listen to them. Don't cut them off, because a lot of times the information is totally at the end. So remember, communicate like you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. That means listen twice as much as you speak. As someone who is constantly on the road and works with thousands of people, how do you continue to put in extra efforts to nurture the relationships you made throughout your life? Really great question. You know, you seem to know a lot more people these days, right? When I was growing up in my neighborhood, I had 50 friends. You know, now you look on MySpace, on Facebook. MySpace not even around anymore. Is it still around? Didn't Justin Timberlake bring that thing back? Don't laugh at me, Sydney. Now you got thousands of friends. Well, who have you checked in on recently? And, you know, listen, my buddy Grant Cardone, who is a very odd cat, he did something about 2 or 3 years ago. He sent me a video and it took 15 seconds and said, hey, yo, player. And he's real old school. Hey, players, Grant Cardone, man, just thinking about you, but love you and I miss you. It took him 15 seconds of a video to forward that to me. I would think about that and I remember that all my life. So what did I do? I did the same exact video for another 200 people, and it took me only probably about half an hour, but everybody else remembered that I was thinking about them at that time. So just make sure you reach out and communicate with people whenever you can. And of course, if you can ever write a handwritten letter or something a little more personal than just a text or a tweet, then do that. So let me tell you about the interview, and I know Sydney wrote it here, interviewee plug. I'm talking about interviewees.
Yeah, the people you interview for the book.
Is that a real word, interviewee? Mm-hmm. Interviewee? W-E-E, that's a new word. You know, I'm going to tell you about the people I interviewed in my new book, Powershift. So I'm releasing the list of the people that I interviewed tomorrow at noon on my social media. A lot of you have been guessing, and I could not be more excited about who I learned from and worked with on Powershift. Now, you're going to see a lot of huge names, and you're going to see some names you don't know. I did not go after the huge names because they're huge names. I went after the huge names because their ability to negotiate in different fields and things are something that I truly admire. And I've seen them personally grow, and I've seen their businesses grow, or their athleticism, or their awards, whatever the case is. I've seen it grow over the course of many years. And I noticed one thing: these people have moved from different fields to different fields. And Diddy is not in the book. I'll give you an example. He's not in the book, and I have a huge amount of respect. I can only put a certain amount in there. But I did a video probably about I don't know, a month ago talking about Diddy and Magic Johnson. And so Magic Johnson goes from sports to all of a sudden real estate to owning a huge fund. Diddy goes from being an intern to a backup dancer to a music producer to owning a record label to then becoming my competition and Sean John, and then now putting liquor. How did he move from each place to another place to go to the top of each place? There's an ability to power shift and to give power to others, to take power yourself, and these are the type of people that I put in the book that I interview. So make sure it's a strong group of people from all different industries, and I made sure to pick in inclusive group that all of my followers and readers will be able to see themselves in, which is more important, because remember, this book is about you. And the range of people go from, of course, as I said already, athletes, parents, entrepreneurs, entertainers, and philanthropists. And if you've read any of my books, you know that I will talk about somebody who you may have never heard of, but you will find extremely inspiring the same way I do. All right, so thank you everyone who tuned in today from India and Scotland, Mexico, Peru, and wherever else you are watching from. Of course, Portugal is a huge supporter of Shark Tank, and I met some great people out there in Vietnam as well. And keep guessing who was in my book on my social media pages, and make sure you pre-order your copy today. You will get that thing in March 10th, 2020. And remember, Powershift will be out on stands as well, March 10th, 2020, and I will be doing a tour of the entire country. So thank you all for tuning in, and I will catch you next time.